In 447 BC, the Parthenon was built in Athens. The structure, with its encircling columns, has fallen into ruins over the centuries. Yet, despite its decline, it remains a symbol of European architecture. Columns, whatever their form, are regarded as characteristic of European architecture. Beautifully carved columns are considered an essential feature of places such as opera houses and churches. Their vertical lines create an impression of space. In the East, too, the fondness for pillars dates back thousands of years. The difference is that in temples, wooden pillars instead of stone columns have been used. Yet Eastern temples are still grand and spacious, and they also demonstrate the Oriental pursuit of eternity in architecture. In China, there's an ancient temple that is an entirely wooden structure. It was built in 1020 and has remained standing despite centuries of violence inflicted on it by nature. The temple is called Fengguo. It's in Yishan County, Liaoning province in northeast China, and is famous for more than its wooden structure. It houses the world's oldest and biggest clay statues of the Buddha, and its Mahavira Hall is the largest temple hall anywhere in China. Today we'll show you around this temple and uncover the secrets of its mysterious pillars. Seen from the mountains surrounding Yi County, one of the most prominent landmarks is the Mahavira Hall of Fengguo Temple. Its eaves, with their smooth lines, resemble the outstretched wings of a great bird. The building is typical of the grandeur of ancient Chinese architecture. The roof is of a single eave, 5-ridged hip type that could be designed only by imperial workmen in building imperial palaces. With its 4 slightly upturned corners, the hip saddle roof adds an infinite sense of beauty to the temple.
义县奉国寺始建于1020年，历朝历代对奉国寺都进行了修缮和传承，使得义县奉国寺至今仍然保持着完整的辽代木构建筑。那么，特别是在1984年到1989年，在国家文物局的支持下，义县奉国寺立项修缮项目，在杨烈教授的亲自指导下，由义县县委县政府主持对义县奉国寺进行了大规模的最后一次修缮。那么今天这座古老的寺庙仍然屹立在我们的面前，保持着它古老的风貌。
More practically, it provides shelter for the vast space below and the 7 Buddhas in the hall. As for these 7 occupants of Fengguo Temple, they are highly distinctive in their appearance. The 7 statues in the Mahavira Hall are all over 8.5 meters in height. The statue of Sakyamuni in the middle measures as much as 9.5 meters. The 7 giant statues of the Buddha are lined up in an imposing straight line across the hall. This is an attendant. In Buddhism, an attendant to a Buddha is next only to the Buddha in rank. She often stands in front of the Buddha, listening attentively to the Buddha preaching, teaching, and converting the seculars. An attendant stands 2.5 meters. One has to look up to see the vivid expression on her face. There are 2 attendants in front of each Buddha. The 14 attendants each has her own composure and facial expression, some smiling, some deep in thought, some looking ahead, and some looking afar, making the whole hall filled with vitality and vigor. On the east and west sides of the hall are standing 2 3.5-meter warriors. Facing the back door is a sitting statue of Guanyin, Avalokitesvara, flanked by a disciple, Sudhana, and Naga Maiden, daughter of the Dragon King. On the walls are exquisite murals. The color paintings on the beams of the hall of Amita look dazzling well and good. The beautiful flying Asparas paintings at the bottom of the beam shelves has distinctive flavor of the paintings of the Tang dynasty, a rare case of architectural painting of the Liao dynasty. It's rare in the Buddhist structures of the world for a hall to accommodate so many sculptures, murals, and colored paintings. Some numbers help us to understand the grand scale of the Mahavira Hall. The temple is 21 meters high and stands on a 3-meter base. It measures 55.5 meters from east to west and 32.8 meters from north to south. The temple occupies a site of 1,800 square meters. Back when the temple was built, it must have been a daunting undertaking. To the rear of the temple, near the Diva King, that is the easternmost of the statues, a clue can be found that indicates just how this apparent miracle was achieved. Standing here, all the huge Buddha statues are within our view in an ordinary manner. It shows that the interior of the hall is very spacious. Perhaps you might not have thought that in this see-through field of vision, you've got the alarming secret of this ancient structure. The secret lies in the pillars. Despite their seeming innocuousness, they form the strongest spine of any wooden structure in Chinese history. In Chinese wooden architecture, the pillars are the skeleton, the basic unit, or jian. Jian, meaning room, refers to the space marked out by 4 pillars, and it was used to calculate the building's scale. The Mahavira Hall at Fengguo Temple is 9 jian horizontally. The number 9 is significant because in the East, where special implications are ascribed to numbers, it sounds like the Chinese word ju, meaning eternity. However, the hall signifying eternity posed a major challenge to the architects of the day. In 1020, Emperor Yulu Yangshu of the Liao dynasty issued orders to have a temple built for his mother, Xiao Chuo, a most legendary figure in the Chinese history. Upon orders, the imperial workmen began to build a hall of 1,800 square meters, all of wood. Pillars were the only means of supporting weight in the wooden structures at that time, so the bigger the construction area, the more pillars were needed. By tradition, for every beam, there should be at least one pillar. This formula meant that the Mahavira Hall would require more than 100 pillars. However, such a crowd of pillars would obstruct the view inside the hall and leave no space for the giant statues of the Buddha. But reducing the number of pillars to below the standard would affect the temple's safety. So the architects faced a serious dilemma. Eventually, they found inspiration in the bridges that spanned major rivers at that time. Bridge designers are often faced with the problem of torrential rains and floods. The different parts of the bridge were integrated into a tightly knit entity, with thick piers rooted into the two banks of the river, connected by solid bridge boards. Such innovations effectively increased the bridge's stability. But how could this bridge-building method be transferred to Fengguo Temple? Heavy wood was cut into beams of a standard size, which were laid across several pillars. This distributed the weight evenly, so that it was no longer borne by a single pillar. The beams, because of their thickness, could bear enormous pressure without being distorted or breaking. The wood used as columns had to be thick, so thick that it allows two persons stretching their arms and making their hands meet. It would take 1,000 years for a tree to grow this thick. The main beams are supported at each end by pillars as thick as they are, and then further layers of beams support the roof above. This meant the pillars could be placed farther away from one another, creating more space in the hall.
"大殿的立柱上啊，它的横梁，好比是这个搭叠起来的一个工字形的一个横梁，就实现